Welcome to the Her Handmade Hustle Unplugged podcast. I'm Joanne Pearce, a female entrepreneur, small business coach, and a creative business owner on a mission to help and inspire other women out there who want to make a decent living doing something they love. If you have your own small business, or maybe you've been thinking about starting one but not sure where to start, then this podcast is for you. I share everything I know about starting a creative business from my own experience of running my handmade stationery company, Vintage Twee. It's as honest and as down to earth as me, and it's an eclectic mix of sound business advice, northern humour, and real life, because it's not easy, is it? This podcast celebrates the selflessness, the strength, and resilience of women, because we possess a superpower so great that we can handle whatever life throws at us and come out the other side. We are survivors, we are warriors, and we are as determined as hell to succeed. Hello, and thank you for joining me for this week's podcast episode. I've been a lot out of routine this month, as I'm sure a lot of us have with the school holidays to juggle. But I wanted to make it a priority to record these episodes and just get them out on time, fortnightly instead of weekly, because I just really enjoy doing them and they are so important to me. So I've let most things slide this past few weeks as it's literally been impossible to get anything done with my daughter nipping at my heels. For those of you young children, you will understand. Seriously, yesterday I attempted to write a simple post on LinkedIn. It wasn't even that long, a few lines. And you know how long it took me? 3.5 hours. Honestly. No word of a lie. Every time I typed a word, it was, "Mummy, watch this," or "Mummy, I'm hungry," or "Mummy, my eyes are cold." Oh my God, you name it. She said it. So I lost the plot at one point. I literally built her a den on the sofa that she couldn't get out of, threw a load of snacks at her, and just stuck YouTube on. It still didn't work. But anyway, I'm here. I'm recording this at night while the little darling is sleeping soundly for now. So hopefully I can get it done before her first wake up of the evening. But I just wanted to thank everybody who has already cast a vote for me in the British Podcast Awards for Listener's Choice Award. There's still time to vote if you haven't already. I would be so grateful. I think you've got until the 29th of August, but I'll put the link to vote in the show notes of this episode. Or you can also find it on my Instagram account on my highlights. There's a link there that will take you straight to vote for me. At the moment, it doesn't look like I'm in the top 20. They released like the top 20 front runners the other day and I had a look. But I know maybe, fingers crossed, I might be able to get there. So if you can cast a vote, I would be so grateful. Secondly, another piece of important information to let you know about. For any Bridgerton fans out there, just wanted to say that me and one of my oldest friends, we went to a spa yesterday. A place, a really quite posh place near where I live. Not that I live anywhere posh, but this place is really nice. Anyway, we were just sat in the jacuzzi. We were like sweating unattractively, like you do, totally makeupless. And then we went spotted Lady Danbury's brother, who was derobing, and he came to join us in the spa. I mean, I didn't even know who it was at the time. I haven't got to season 3 yet, which apparently he is in. It was my friend who pointed him out. So that was exciting, if not totally irrelevant to this podcast, but I thought it was worth a mention, I feel. So, if you live around the northwest of the UK, get yourself to Mottram Hall, a spa, hotel and spa. Lady Danbury's brother hangs out there. Anyway, so what are we talking about today? Well, it's an interesting topic that I decided to talk about after a couple of conversations that I've had over the past 2 weeks since I last recorded my last episode. If you've got children, you might find it particularly interesting, but even if you haven't and you still run your own business, I think you're going to enjoy it. Because today I'm talking all about being an entrepreneur and looking at the concept of it being inherent. That is part of our genes, of our makeup, and whether or not it's a quality that we can identify in our kids or other family members and people that we know. And if so, if we see that entrepreneurial spirit in our children, how do we nurture it? How do we bring it out? so that they can achieve everything that they want to achieve in their life and do what is destined for them. So we're going to get a little bit scientific. We're going to look at the nature nurture debate, how much of it is in our DNA and how much of it is a learned behaviour. And I want to talk about the identifying traits in children and young people, which perhaps we resonate with ourselves because, it's who we are. That's exactly what made us an entrepreneur, these traits, and we recognise them in our children and how they might have influenced your path as an adult entrepreneur. I was actually at an event last week, and it's a big event that I work on with my other business, Vintage Tree, my handmade stationery business. And I think I mentioned it previously in another episode, and it's a princess fairy tale ball, and it's hosted by a wonderful company called Manchester Princess Parties. It's an absolutely amazing event. It's like breathtaking. It takes place at a beautiful hotel here in the northwest of the UK called Trigley Hall. And it basically just makes kids' dreams come true. They get to meet and dance with their idols, all their favourite princesses are there, and just live the dream. Live the dream of a 5-year-old. It's just wonderful. Anyway, I create the keepsake favours for the ball that the children get to take away with them as a memory of their day. It's my second year doing it now. I'm also my second year attending the event. And there's a lovely young girl who's the daughter of the DJ, like the entertainer at the event. And she helps her dad in the smooth running of the whole day, and all the entertainment. Her main role really, like, she facilitates the games. She gets all the shyer kids involved because she's got this really natural ability to make them feel comfortable. She's absolutely amazing. Excuse me. And she's only 15. Like, honestly, I couldn't believe it when I found out last year. Well, she was 14 at the time then. Anyway, she's taken my daughter, Eden, under her wing the past couple of times that we've been. And she's really, really helped Eden come out of her shell. Because sometimes, she struggles being in like busy, noisy environments. And most of the time when we're in these situations, we just have to jump ship and leave, no matter what we've spent. I mean, we attempted to take her to the cinema not long ago to see Trolls. It was a few months back. She literally lasted a grand total of 3.5 minutes. No word of a lie. Like, as soon as the lights went down and the adverts came on and her pick and mix was gone, she was out of there. Like £25 down the drain in 3.5 minutes. I got all excited this particular day thinking that I'm going to be able to shut my eyes for a couple of hours on a Saturday morning for like the first time in nearly 5 years. Nope, didn't happen. Anyway, right, back to Imogen, who's the young girl that I was talking about at the fairy tale ball. So she told me at the event last year that she was available for babysitting if I needed any help whatsoever entertaining Eden in the school holidays. So this year, last year it just wasn't the right time. I just didn't end up contacting her. But this year, when we saw her again, she literally made a beeline for me, and she reiterated again to me that she would absolutely love to babysit Eden. Now, you've got to hand it to the girl because she was on it. Like, she proved to me for the next 2-3 hours that we were there that she was more than capable of taking care of my child, while I could get some work done in my office. I'm only upstairs working, but she proved to me that she wanted to do it, and she could do it. She literally checked in with me regularly during the event to make sure that Eden was okay. She took her off me, like, to help her with the games. She brought her back to me when she had to have a toilet break or drinks break. And she was just generally fantastic. Anyway, she approached me at the end of the ball when everyone had gone. And I was in the middle of trying to peel Eden off Merida and Cinderella at that point. And she just sat down next to me. And she put a pitch forward and she was like, right, Joanne, so I'm free until the 5th of September when I go back to school. I charge £5 per hour. It's a minimum of 4 hours, plus a taxi home if I can't get a lift. And you know what? I was so impressed. Like, I literally thought to myself, here's a girl with real entrepreneurial spirit. She's got all the qualities it takes to be successful in business. Bloody hell, I was in awe of how direct she was about her price and her terms and conditions. I'm telling you, us older ladies, we could learn a lot from her. She wasn't shy about it at all. She just laid it all out on the table. And then she gave me her number, and that was it. And you know what? I text her the very next day and I booked her in to babysit for me for 3 mornings up until Eden goes back to school, just to help a little bit during the last few weeks of the school holidays. And it got me thinking about how entrepreneurs start, the qualities that we have which make us succeed. I mean, she did it all right. She gave me examples of what she could do by playing with Eden and taking care of her at the event. She pitched to me and she made me an offer. And after that, she kind of then literally got hold of me at the end of the event and made sure that I had a way of getting in contact with her. It was pretty genius. And obviously her dad, he has his own business because he's the DJ there. So she's been around this entrepreneurial spirit and she's seen how it operates. Which takes me to the really interesting point of this nature versus nurture debate when it comes to entrepreneurial spirit. How much of it is inherent, is built in us, in our genes and our makeup, and how much of it is a learned behaviour? Are we or our children, are we destined to be entrepreneurs if our blood relatives are? I've been looking into this concept quite a lot because I find it so interesting. And I actually read that around, I think it's 48% of entrepreneurs grow up in a family business, and they may have been influenced by seeing their family members also run a business. I mean, that's 100% correct for me. And my sister too, because she's also an entrepreneur. Now, our dad's a barber. He has been for the past, gosh, God knows, 55 years, probably now, maybe more. And he used to have a barbershop, which was like the most popular barbershop in Stockport, where we used to live in its day. Everybody knew Tony the barber. Even like all my like boyfriends I used to meet on nights out and stuff, they'd be like, if they were local, and I'd say who I lived, and I go to a barber shop round there, and I go, oh right, it's not Tony's, is it? And they go, no way, it's Tony, your dad. Yep, that's my dad. So yeah, everybody knew Tony the barber. And I remember how hard he worked, especially when we were little, because my mum didn't work. They made a decision that she would look after me and my sister around the clock. That was her job. A true homemaker, it's all she ever wanted to do. And I grew up seeing the long hours that my dad put into the business and then the rewards that we all gained from it. Nice holidays, meals out, we had quality family time together in nice places. And as I got older, I wanted to go in and help. I wanted to sweep the floors, make brews, use the till. Although, my mum, she was never keen. She didn't think it was the right environment for like a young girl to be in. There's like loads of sweary, pervy men in there, and a few odd characters, to say the least, wandering through his doors. So she was never that keen on it. But, I helped out when I could, and when she'd let me. And I don't know, there's something about the fact that I knew that even though he worked so damn hard, because he did, he started early, he finished late, he had that freedom of working for himself. He answered to no one and he made his own schedule. And I was totally in awe of it. And especially when I hit around 20 years old, I had a series of jobs that I absolutely hated. It was like one after the other. I just couldn't find what I wanted to do. And yeah, I was miserable. And I used to wonder, I remember sitting there thinking, how could I be like my dad and have my own business? And his mum, so my grandma, was a business owner too. I've actually got an earlier podcast episode called Be Like Phyllis, which you should listen to if you haven't yet. It's really good. I talk all about my grandma's corner shop and her entrepreneurial nature. She was one hell of a strong woman. It's a really interesting podcast. It's actually one of the most popular ones that I've uploaded. So if you haven't heard it, go back to some of my earlier ones and look out for it. I think it's called Be Like Phyllis, Beat the Imposter Syndrome. It's really cool. But anyway, so grandma was an entrepreneur and so was my dad. So I know that I was heavily influenced by seeing these important people in my life doing it for themselves. And I felt like, I don't know, like being an entrepreneur, you might feel like this too. I feel like it's in my DNA. And, studies have shown that like 35 to 45% of an individual's urge to start a business is genetic. There's actually a guy that I've been reading about called Harvey Castro, and he's like a consultant physician, a serial entrepreneur as well. And he says there are actual genes that have been linked to increased entrepreneurial activity. So basically, we all have certain genes that control certain chemicals in our brains, such as dopamine and serotonin, and these are like our feel good hormones. And Harvey says that increased activity in these genes, they're more prevalent in entrepreneurs, and they're actually associated with behaviors like increased risk taking, particularly financial, and a desire for unique experiences. And these are qualities that are found in people with entrepreneurial skills, and their traits. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's basically saying that we're all gamblers, we're not afraid to take risks as much as you might think that you are, and that you sit on things and you worry about them and you debate whether or not you can do them. You're a risk taker because you wouldn't be even trying it if you weren't. It's important to remember that you're brave, you're doing it, you're a risk taker. And we're desperate to escape the mundane. We're not prepared to settle for the ordinary or the predictable. Does it sound familiar? It definitely does for me. And the fact is that there is evidence of some kind of entrepreneurial gene, which is related to personality, our psychiatry, and our brain chemicals, and it supports the hereditary aspect of entrepreneurship. But then you've got the other side of the debate, and that is that a good portion of our predisposition to go it alone and start a business is actually learned. It comes from and it's determined by environmental factors and things that we've been exposed to in our lives. So that could be our experiences, our education, chance meetings, social networks, who we are mixing with. Also, like our level of economic stability. Although I'm not sure about that last one, because both times that I've decided to start a business was when I was totally broke. Right? I certainly didn't feel financially stable. In fact, the main driving force behind why I did it in the first place was because I literally had nothing to lose. I didn't need a big investment for my businesses. Maybe it's different if you do. But I just remember thinking that this has to work for me because it's just what I wanted to achieve in my life. There was no other option for me. And sometimes to support the fact that maybe entrepreneurship is something that is learned, sometimes we meet people, don't we, by total chance, and they come into our lives just at the right moment. So maybe you're at a crossroads and you're thinking of starting a business, but you haven't quite felt 100% committed to it or confident in doing it. And then randomly, like, you have this chance encounter with someone who presents you with an opportunity, or they've got this energy that encourages you and motivates you to get started. Perhaps they are an entrepreneur as well, and they just give you that little bit of a push and a confidence boost just to go and chase your dreams, do it. When I decided to go all in on my podcasts, because I enjoy it so much, I decided that I would start seeking out people, like entrepreneurs, like remotely famous ones with an interesting story to tell, to interview. I wanted them to come on, and I still do. And I want to talk to them about how they did it and the journey that they had to get to where they are today. Anyway, the next day after deciding this, when I was like out and about on my local high street in the town where I live, I walked past someone who used to be on The Apprentice, if you ever watched that, Alan Sugar's show. And he owned a fruit and veg stall where I live. And he actually did really well on the show, and he got in the final. I think he was like second runner-up. Anyway, he was walking his dog this day, and we like crossed paths. We said good morning to each other. And I got home that day, and I thought, do you know what? I'm going to look him up on Facebook, like you do, total stalker. I'm going to message him, and I'm going to ask if he'll come on my podcast and talk about his journey as a successful entrepreneur, because I thought it'd be quite cool to get a male's perspective as well. So I sent him a message, me being me, it's not giving a shit, thinking, right, why not? Let's just do it. I just come up with these ideas at midnight, like literally. I just thought, I'll just do it. Anyway, he hasn't replied. But that's fine, right? He still might. My point is, sometimes you have to watch out for an opportunity that is put in your way because it may lead to something that you didn't expect. And it's just like a great example of how environmental factors, such as the people that we meet just by chance, they can be important determinants of entrepreneurship and whether or not we take that leap. So, are there certain like identifying traits that we can look out for in our children or our younger family members and friends that can indicate to us, that maybe they're cut from the same cloth as we are and they're destined to be an entrepreneur? I just find it so interesting. And if so, how can we encourage this and nurture those traits so that they can always, always reach their full potential and achieve their life dreams? That's all we want, isn't it, to do? To be happy. Like, I don't want to be a millionaire. Nice. But, it's not something that I strive for because I just want to be happy as long as I'm comfortable and I can survive and I can do the things I want to do. That's enough for me. And it is for a lot of people, I think. So if you're an entrepreneur yourself, I'm probably about to describe you here and you'll be able to recognize many of these traits in your own personality and possibly in your kids too. And I think the first indicator, personality trait of like a budding entrepreneur is curiosity and an eagerness to learn. I mean, how many times, right, do or did your kids, depending on how old they are now, always question everything that they did, everything that you did, wanting to know why things the way they are, how something works, what it means when someone says this or that, refusing to go to sleep until you tell them why you can't have a husband and a boyfriend at the same time. Yes, this is what my daughter asked me the other night at Lights Out. You really want to know what my answer was, don't you? Well, I just said, you have to choose which one you prefer, darling. It was one or the other, I'm afraid. I can't have both. I mean, that was clearly, not a good enough answer for her. She was going on at me, but it was like 8:45 p.m. I was knackered. And all I could think about was a bottle of wine waiting for me in the fridge. Luckily, she hasn't asked me again, so I've got a bit of time to think on that answer. But yeah, curiosity and eagerness to learn, it's a huge indicator of a person who, they've got these key qualities needed to be an entrepreneur. There's something to look out for in the younger generation. Another trait is initiative, a strong sense of independence. They are massive indicators of entrepreneurship. Perhaps you know a young person, a bit like the young girl that I talked to you about from the Princess Ball, or maybe it's your child, who is just so good at taking charge. They're using their common sense and they've got this willingness just to get things done. This was always me. All of my school reports from an early age started with Joanne always uses her own initiative, or Joanne enjoys taking the lead and helping her peers, or Joanne is very independent. That's all they ever said, right? I loved a little bit, actually quite a lot of responsibility from an early age, and I used to seek it out. And it's one of those qualities that I noticed in Imogen, the 15-year-old that I mentioned, that I met at the Princess Ball, because she's coming to babysit my daughter. My God, she's so independent. She is literally the most mature 15-year-old that I've ever met. So yesterday, she actually sent me a text and asked if she could give me a call before she comes over to babysit, so she can go through a few questions that she has, that she likes to ask everybody who she babysits for. I thought it was bloody brilliant. So smart and sensible. I mean, God, I'm 41. I didn't even think of that. In fact, I just sent her a text asking her to let me know what snacks and drinks she likes, so I could put on my Tesco shop that weekend. But she did. She phoned me. She actually phoned me this evening, and she ran through all these questions. And she was like, "Now, does she have any allergies? What's your policies on screen time?" I was like, do whatever's easier, Imogen. Honestly, whatever keeps her quiet, go for it. It was just so good, though. She literally just asked me all these questions she hadn't written down in front of her, and she just fired away, and it was great. And it just really showed that true entrepreneurial spirit, and I know she'll go far. I can see it. And I can also see a little bit of myself in her as well, which is probably why I've got a bit of a soft spot for her. It's also the old youth worker inside of me from many moons ago when I used to work with young people. It's coming out a little bit, and I wanted to provide her with an opportunity an opportunity to learn and to grow and to get some experiences, which is what she was craving. She got this willingness, and I wanted to give it to her. So that leads me on to like one other really important trait to look out for in our little potential entrepreneur offspring, a passion, a real passion for something. Like not just they're into it, but like really into it. So mine was always art. It was always making things, gosh, from as far back as I can remember. Like my absolute number one thing to do, favourite thing to do in the world as a child was get out my making box. I bloody loved it. You name it, I would make it. Yeah, I used to watch Art Attack. I used to watch, what's that other one called? Oh, Blue Peter, all kinds of things. And I'd make whatever I'd watch that day. And even during the whole time while I was at university, studying psychology and then youth work, I knew that I would be a creator of some kind. It was always about that for me. I didn't know what at the time. I used to feel very confused about it, but I knew I would end up in the creative world in some way. So, like, perhaps your child loves baking or cooking more than just like a hobby or a pastime, but is like really committed to it. And he's good at it as well. You might have a Michelin star chef in the making or the owner of the best local bakery in your town in 15, 20 years' time. Like, look out for those real passions and nurture and encourage them so that they have the potential to grow into something special. So, if we've identified that some of our younger family members have some or all of these traits that are critical determinants of entrepreneurship, what can we actually do to nurture them and bring them out? Because, it's really interesting. When I first started my business, Vintage Tweet, my mum particularly, she was like far from encouraging. She really liked to play things safe, did my mum. And in fact, I remember her telling me, telling her my idea. And the next day, like she just didn't really say very much, but the next day she came up to my old bedroom where I was back living at the time, and she brought up the local newspaper, the Stockport Express, and she brought it up to me as I was working on some prototype products for my business. And I remember her saying to me, Joanne, I found a job for you back at the hospital, which is where I used to work on my year out when I took a gap year from uni. And I just think you should just apply for that. And you know what? In that moment, I was heartbroken. Like, I really thought that she just didn't believe that I could do it. It really upset me. But then I realised it's just a different attitude then. And I think now, especially with modern parenting, that we're much more open minded to whatever our children feel in their hearts is what they want to do. We're much more supportive, we're much less negative, and maybe even a little more trusting of them and their path that they think is right for them. I mean, I don't know. Ask me again when my daughter is 18 and telling me that she wants to move to Vegas to pursue a career in entertainment. I don't know. I'll probably take back everything I've just said to you there. But anyway, I just think it's really important that if we suspect our child has that something special, to let them explore it. And there's a few ways that we can let them do this and we can help them. And firstly, I think that we can harness the skill, whatever it is that they love doing, by providing opportunities for them around it. So let's say your child loves to bake, okay? You could set up loads of baking projects for them. You could play restaurants. You could let them bake dessert every weekend or cook you and your partner a meal, depending on their age. You could encourage them to take part in school bake sales and sell them for pocket money, like start earning a little bit. Anything that gives them a real chance to explore their skill and use it in a meaningful way. And this in turn helps build their confidence, which is another important thing that you can do to nurture their entrepreneurial traits. Like encourage them to take risks and learn from any mistakes and failures. And you can also support their independence by allowing them to make decisions, manage small projects of their own. A great example of this is my gorgeous little niece, Bonnie. She's like 8 years old and she's so crafty and creative like me. She just reminds me of when I was her age. And we've just got this real special little bond we do. It's so nice. We always craft together. Anyway, I just came back from spending a week with her down south where my sister lives. And she was telling me that she set up her own little business selling these bracelets she makes. It's so cute. And more than that, like, they're damn good, honestly. She's really good at them. So she's got herself a business name, she's got herself a logo, and she even did her first craft fair last month. Bloody hell, she made more money than I did that day. In fact, she made more money than I did at age 28 when I did my first ever craft fair. Like, seriously, she did so good. Anyway, we were chatting whilst I was there at her house last week, and I asked her, what's your next move for your business, Bunny? And she said, I don't know. I really don't know, Auntie Nanny. That's what she calls me. I don't know what to do. And she said she desperately wanted to sell some more bracelets, but it was hard, obviously. Don't we know it as small business owners? She didn't know how to do it. She didn't know where to do it. So I sat with her and I just could see this little face, and I got my coaching hat on and I said to her, right, okay, I've got a proposition for you. I said, how about me and you, we do a collaboration? So her little face lit up and she was like, what? I said, well, maybe I could buy like a stock of your bracelets off you. They're like 50p each, and then I'll give them out with every Christmas order that I receive from Vintage Twee. So the customer gets a free gift, effectively. And I asked if you can make them Christmas themed, like little Christmas charms on them. So I put them in with every Christmas order that I get. I said it's going to benefit us both because you get to sell a bulk of bracelets to me and make some money from it instantly. And then I get to look like highly generous, delivering exceptional customer service to people who are just going to love getting a free gift. I mean, who doesn't? It's a great idea. And she was so excited, bless her. So we went online together. I said to her, right, I'll bring the website up. You choose which charms you want for your bracelets. You choose what bags you want to put them in. And now she's getting ready to make me my first batch of stock. And I pre-warned her. I was like, Bonnie, honestly, it could get really busy. Last year I made something like 1,000 bloody Santa letters. Be prepared. But the point is, it was encouraging her independence. It was practicing her decision-making abilities, allowing her to manage and control her own little project. And these are crucial life skills, regardless of whether or not they end up becoming an entrepreneur. It's stuff that we need to know how to do in life. So be their mentor, help them learn how to lead and navigate decisions, because nothing bad can come of that. It's all good. It's all an education. So let's recap on some of the points of today's episode, just before I share some exciting news of what's to come up in the world of Her Handmade Hustle over the next few weeks. You're going to want to keep listening for that. So first of all, entrepreneurial spirit. It's most likely a mix of genetic determinant and learned behaviours. Some of us are born to have our own business, and some of us may fall into it by chance. There, number two, there's evidence to suggest that there are certain genes related to personality, to psychiatry, to brain chemicals and mood that are more prevalent in entrepreneurs, suggesting that entrepreneurship is in our genes. It actually could be in our DNA. And we're more likely to start a business of our own if we have family members that have paved the way before us. We talked about the identifying traits that we can look out for in our children, which might suggest that they could be successful entrepreneurs too. And this is mainly curiosity and eagerness to learn, initiative, strong sense of independence and a real passion for something. We also looked at how we can nurture and encourage the amazing, if not slightly annoying, qualities in our children with a modern approach to parenting, like fostering this creativity and providing opportunities for them to practice their skill, build their confidence, and allow them to make decisions and manage small projects of their own. And these, again, are all important and essential life skills, regardless of whether or not they end up starting their own business. So in my opinion, I don't think you can ever be too young to start practicing your entrepreneur skills. Just think of me, right? Aged 8 in my grandma's corner shop, Mrs. Phyllis, that I talked about earlier. Her corner shop was in a pretty rough part of inner city Manchester. I was 8 years old, like I say. I was slicing luncheon meats. I was serving customers a pack of 20 Benson and Hedges at the time on a Sunday morning. I'm getting paid in pick and mix. I bloody loved it. It was good times. And I learned a lot from it. I learned how to use a till, learned how to add up. And I learned customer service. I had to say good morning to everybody, on a Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Make sure that they left the shop happy customers. It was really fun. So, what's coming up with Her Handmade Hustle? Okay, a lot, right? My head has been bursting with ideas. My diary is full for September and October already, and it's all stuff that hopefully you are going to love and is going to help you massively in your journey as a small business owner. So first of all, I've got a few amazing podcast guests lined up who are going to be coming on the show to talk about how they became female entrepreneurs. And these are truly inspirational women, honestly. Like, you know me, I'm a massive supporter of women who have triumphed over adversity. And my God, have these women, right? You won't believe some of their stories. And I'm going to be interviewing them next month. So keep an eye out or an ear out for these amazing interviews. They will make you realise you can literally do anything that you want. Seriously. And secondly, I've got an exciting project to share with you, which I'm going to be talking about in more detail next time. But if you're considering selling on Etsy, or maybe you already do, but you aren't really sure what you're doing, or nothing's happening for you, you're trying but you just don't feel like it's working, or you're not sure if you're doing it right, then you're going to want to listen to my next podcast episode, which will be out in 2 weeks' time. And I'm going to be opening up my second Etsy store for Her Handmade Hustle. Okay, I've already got one Etsy store for Vintage Twee, which I've had for coming on for 15 years nearly now. So it was a long time ago when I opened that shop. So I decided to set up another Etsy shop for Her Handmade Hustle, where I am going to be selling a host of creative art and prints to brighten the walls of your home and your workspace. And they're all aimed at women, entrepreneurs, small business owners. They're going to be quirky, stylish, very northern, a bit northern humour in there, and some of them a bit sweary, but, all me. They're going to be so much fun. And I'm harnessing a power that I already have, which is my creativity skills, and I'm going to put them into a new Etsy shop. And I'm going to document my journey doing it as a new seller in 2024. Because obviously, like I said, I opened my last shop in 2010. Yeah, 2010 it was. Yeah, so a lot has changed. A lot has changed on there. And I just thought it would be invaluable to you, in the words of the annoying YouTubers that my daughter watches, to take you along with me and just to show you how I do it. Like from actually setting up my shop, like opening the account, setting up my shop, doing the business bio, creating and adding the banner, creating policies, shop policies, all the way through to actually writing listings that are good, that are optimized to sell, that can get seen. Because that is how you make sure your stuff gets found amongst the sea of items that are already on there. Because there's a hell of a lot of stuff on there, isn't there? And there is a way to make sure yours stand out, trust me. So I'll be documenting the whole thing. We're going to be monitoring my sales or lack of, depending on how everything goes down. And I'm going to show you what's working and what's not. It's going to be brilliant or a total flop. I don't know. Either way, you're going to learn how to do the stuff that you don't know how to do so that you can then apply it to your own Etsy shop or business. And you can start making some sales. I just thought it would be really good to use myself as an experiment so you could see how it works for me. And I think I'm going to do all on YouTube, so I'll be uploading videos onto YouTube. So if you're not following me already on there, I do have an account for Her Handmade Hustle, actually. I'll put the link in the show notes. If you want to jump on YouTube and subscribe, it's free, and then you'll be notified when I upload a video. I sound like one of those YouTubers now. That's what they say, isn't it, all the time? Like and subscribe. I'm definitely not going to be one of them, I promise. Alternatively, you can sign up to my newsletter on my website on herhandmadehustle.co.uk, and you'll be notified when I upload the first video to this new Etsy series that I'm going to be doing. Finally, one last plea. Please, please, please vote for me in the British Podcast Awards. Listener's Choice. You can find the link again in the show notes. I'll be so grateful if you could vote for Her Handmade Hustles podcast. If you enjoy it, obviously if you don't, then you won't. I totally understand. But it would be lovely to have your vote. So I'm going to leave it there for today. I hope you've enjoyed the episode. My daughter hasn't woken up, so despite me talking quite loudly, it seems to have been a success. I hope everyone's surviving the school holidays. Not long to go now. What are we on? Probably got 3 weeks to go. Halfway there. We're halfway there, people. But yes, thank you for listening, and I will look forward to the next episode and hope you can join me then. Take care. Bye bye.